Alright guys, with the new 1.3 coming, got a couple changes to how my Hotas is set up, and we got a couple changes to how the rockets are going to work, and a couple of things that are a little bit surprising, a little bit disappointing. So I'm going to go over the helicopter changes first, and we'll jump in from there. So, the newest thing is when you go to fire your rockets, you are selecting either all of them. You can see it down in that lower right corner, so kind of right here. You're selecting all of the pods, just the inner two, just the outer four. So, the fire select mode, locked on ripple. Fire select quantity, we got 4, 16, 8. So, what that means is with the Russian bird, you have a maximum of 4 shots. Then, switch it over to the outer two, you can get 4 more. Total of 8 shots. Each one of those shots is shooting 4 rockets out of each pod. So, a lot of rockets, a lot of firepower. But what does that mean practically? Well, it means you have, at most, 8 shots to be able to take down helicopters. So, like the best of the best Mi-8 pilot on one refuel, like you have to RTB, fill up rockets now. Best of the best, you can shoot down 8 helis or attack 8 objectives. Only 8 targets. A lot of rockets, but only 8 targets. But in the American chopper, substantially less rockets, right? Oh, I got 7 on each side. So, what does that mean? Well, with the fancy new sight pulled down, down here is where you select the fire rate on the Huey. You can do all, left, or right. It's locked into ripple with 1 if it's selected on all, which means every time you pull the trigger, it's going to shoot 1 rocket out of each. So you'd have 7 shots. But if you go left, you can shoot each rocket individually. As long as you feather the trigger. So, you could shoot a maximum of 14 targets. So even though you have substantially less rockets, you have more chances of being able to take down another bird. Now that being said, you might not be able to take down a Russian heli in one shot, but if you get them in the cockpit, like ideal situation, you could take down 14 helicopters with 1 Huey. Ideal situation, you could take down 8 helicopters with the Mi-8. So even though it has more rockets, it's still at a disadvantage. Alright, other things to go over. So changes to the Hotas would be the ranging on this. You need to be able to hold down the F and then use the scroll wheel to change the ranging. Well, how we do that on the Hotas, originally I had it so that you held down the F key with this button. I've now changed that to square. Reason being, if you do the F key and then you have to bind an up and down on for a scroll wheel on the mouse, it doesn't work well. So you have to tap each individual one. Versus the controller layout, it's a little bit more forgiving. What you can do is bind this to square, and then up and down on the D-pad, and then if you hold it, it does it quickly. It's not as big of a deal on the American bird, but the Russian bird has a lot more increments in between. So for example, you hold here, each and every one of these increments was a button press before, and so now you can hold it and do hundreds of those increments at once. And so much better to do it that way. So I'm going to have a full list of changes that are going to be made. That the D-pad also works for switching between these. So that's how you're going to switch between your weapons. You have to be able to, yeah, you're going to have to be able to look around and then switch between these and then be able to scroll up and down. So you need a scroll. So I'm gonna try and get a something up on screen here with my full list of controls and changes, and kind of show you guys how I have everything bound, um, and let you go from there. Take it easy, guys.